Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I am over here again with you with the chapter number 9. All is not lost. In this lecture, I will give you the complete description of all the grammatical contents which have been discussed in this unit and in the exercise of this unit. In the next part of this lecture, I will give you a complete description about all the passages and I will give you the complete comprehension and the necessary information about the passages. And in the third lecture, as our scheme of study is same, yes, I will give you the complete description of exercise. Now I am coming towards my first lecture related to this chapter. Over here on the screen, I have given you some objectives. These objectives are related to the grammar concepts. The first grammar concept which we will study in this lesson is rules for changing the narration. And in this concept we will study the rules for changing the requests or order. We will discuss the rules for changing the suggestions into indirect speech, and we will discuss the rules for changing the interrogative sentences as well. Use of compound prepositions we will learn in this unit. Past perfect continuous tense will be discussed out, and rules to change direct speech into indirect speech, and we will learn the rules to change interrogative sentences, and we will read the rules to change imperative sentences into indirect speech. This lesson is very important, and it will give you a lot of information about all the basic grammatical concepts related to the change of speech into another form of speech. So you have to come and you have to concentrate in the complete lecture to have a complete grip and to grasp out all the concepts which are necessary related to this concept. Now, without wasting any time, I am coming towards my first objective, that is rules for changing the narration. Here on the board you can see I have write down some rules for changing the narration, but here I am going to discuss in front of you only those rules which we follow to change an order or request into indirect speech. How we change an order or request into indirect speech? Here I have given you a formula. Yes, this is the most precise way in which you can learn this concept, and you have to follow this concept in this manner. It will surely help you. Here on the screen I have given out you a formula. This formula is verb plus indirect object plus 2, and then you have to write the remaining clause. What is the indirect object in this formula? In this formula, the indirect object is the person to whom we have to speak to. Clear out? I will clear out this concept in the example, then it will be easy for you to understand. Which verbs are used for orders and requests? When you are going to explain an order or request, which verbs you will use to replace out that part of the sentence? These verbs are command, order, warn, ask, advise, invite, beg, teach and forbid. These verbs will help you to change out the verb according to the narration of the sentence. Now I am coming towards the example of order or request. Direct speech. The doctor said to me, stop smoking. Here I am going to change it into indirect speech. How I will change it? I will use the verb advised over here, and this verb I have mentioned over here also. I have replaced out said to advised. The doctor advised me to stop smoking. Here you can see that this is a verb. Okay, this is a verb. This one is the indirect object. Here is to, and this one is the remaining clause. And you can note down that the same formula is applicable over here. So this is the most easiest way, and almost all the students feel it very difficult to change the narration into indirect speech, and I am going to give you a most easiest way to learn and to grasp out the complete concept. Now I am coming towards the request for an object. If you are going to request, if you are going to beg an object, what type of, which is the formula to change it into that indirect narration? You will use this formula, ask for plus object. How you will use this formula? Here is the example in front of you. Direct speech. Can I have an apple? She asked. Yes, over here this is the direct speech, and I am going to change it into the indirect speech over here. She asked for an apple. This is the way to, this is the rule to change any type of request or order into the indirect form. Now I am coming towards the next step. For more examples to learn about the request and order, I have given you a screenshot over here. On the screen you can see all these examples will help you to illustrate this concept more vividly and more appropriately. Now students, I am coming towards rules for changing a suggestion into the indirect speech. Here on the board you can see that verbs which are used when you are going to change a suggestion are over here. Suggest, insist, recommend, demand, request and propose. All these words can use in these sentences. And what is the formula to change these statements into the indirect speech is over here on the screen. Verb plus that clause. Example is over here which will help you to understand this formula. In direct speech, she said, why don't you get a machine too? In indirect speech, she suggested that I should get a machine too. Is it okay, students? Now I am coming towards another form of this type of sentences. In some forms, afterward we will use a gerund to represent the indirect object plus clause, and this type of sentences sounds more politely as compared to the sentences that I have given over here. Example is over here in front of you. In direct speech, why don't you get the doctor? He said, and I am coming towards the indirect speech. Thus, he suggested I go to the doctor. More examples about this type of sentences I have given you on the screen. These examples will surely help you to grasp out the complete concept of changing the suggestions into the indirect speech. Okay students, after discussing the rules for changing the narration, now I am coming towards the second objective, that is use of compound prepositions. Before reading the use of compound prepositions in the sentences, first I have to tell you what is compound preposition. The first thing which we have to discuss is define compound preposition. Here on the board you can see the definition of compound prepositions. It consists of a combination of words that is often considered as one preposition. Yes student, this is the combination of one, two or more than two words, and in the sentence we consider it a single word, and without these compound prepositions some sentences are considered to be incomplete. So this is a very important part when you are going to study the use of prepositions. I have given you many type of prepositions in my previous lectures, such as prepositions of time, preposition of place, and now I am going to discuss the compound prepositions in front of you. Here are some examples related to compound prepositions. I think so it will be helpful for you to understand the concept from these examples. According to, in place of, in spite of, because of, instead of, etc. In spite of these all compound prepositions, there are more than enough compound prepositions. I have discussed only 4 to 5 over here, and now on the screen you can see all the compound prepositions in front of you. These will help you to understand where the compound preposition is accurately have been used, and you can pick out these compound prepositions from all the sentences. Here are some examples of compound prepositions according to, apart from, close to, because of, for from, next to, rather than, instead of, out of, due to, relating to, in front of. Now I am going to give you the use of these compound prepositions. Here are only some sentences, and from these sentences you can easily understand the use of these compound prepositions when they are coming inside a sentence. My car is parked in front of the house. Rita was never close to her parents. She can't stay here as of now. His behavior is far from normal. Okay students, now by seeing all these examples over here on the screen, you can easily be able to understand the concept of compound preposition along with the definition. So now I am coming towards the next objective, that is we have to know the use of past perfect continuous tense, and I am going to give you the explanation of this tense precisely. It will surely help you. Students, here on the board you can see the complete description of past perfect continuous form in a precise chart form, and this chart will surely help you to pick out all type of sentences that belong to the tense past perfect continuous. First of all, I am going to give you the formula to make out these sentences. Subject, had been, plus verb plus ing. In these sentences we will use at the first the subject, and then we will use the had been as a helping verb. Then we use verb, and with verb we use ing. Now I am coming towards the type of sentences in which there is the use of past perfect continuous tense, which can be seen easily. Here are three types of sentences where the past perfect continuous tense is mostly used. To express the past action, here is the example to show that how the past perfect continuous tense is used to express the past action. We had been looking for the wallet for 2 hours when Susan found it. Here you can see the past action has been expressed in the form of past perfect continuous tense. Now I am coming towards the next type of sentences. The next type of sentences are those sentences in which an event is finished just before another past event. Such type of sentences also use past perfect continuous tense to express. Here is an example. The ground was wet. This is a current action, and the previous action which has been finished right now is that it had been raining all day. So these two sentences are interconnected with each other. To understand the mentality of first sentence, we have to go towards the next sentence. Such type of sentences also use the past perfect continuous tense to elaborate out. Now I am coming towards the third type of sentences. In reported speech, we use past perfect continuous tense. And how we use past perfect continuous tense in such type of speeches is over here. They said it had been raining. Now you can easily understand the complete procedure and the complete use of past perfect continuous tense while it is coming towards the sentences. There is no need to read out complete description related to past perfect continuous tense. You can only read and you can only pick out this precise chart, and you can understand all type of sentences easily which have a related use of past perfect continuous tense. Now I have to come towards the next rule, that is rules to change direct speech into indirect. I have given you all the rules to change the direct speeches into indirect speech. In the start I have given you the rules to change the suggestions and requests and the orders into indirect speech. Now I have to give you the rules to change interrogative sentences. These rules I am going to discuss in front of you. Students, you can see on the board the rules for changing interrogative speech. Yes, there are 3 rules I have mentioned over here with the red highlighter. These rules will help you to change the interrogative speech into the other form of speech. I am going towards the first rule, use conjunction if or whether in place of that. What type of sentences where that is used? The sentence is, she said to me, do you like tea or coffee? She asked me whether I like tea or coffee. This form is the direct speech and I am going to change it into indirect speech, and the procedure is over here in front of you. Now I am coming towards the second rule, while transforming interrogative sentences into assertive. If you are going to transform the interrogative sentence into assertive sentence, then you have to add not. How you have to add not? The example is over here in front of you. Has he finished his work? This is an interrogative sentence. He has not finished his work. This one is an assertive sentence. Now I am coming towards the third rule. Reporting verb ask, asks or asked is used in indirect relation, and we can also use inquire or inquire of words also in place of ask or asked. I have used these 2 types of verbs over here in these 2 examples. You can copy any other type of example over here also to understand these rules. I inquired of him whether he would accompany me to Lahore. She asked me if I liked coffee. All these examples will surely help you to understand complete procedure of changing the interrogative narrations into another form of any type of narration. Now I am coming towards the rules to change imperative speech into indirect speech. This is the last grammatical object which we have to discuss today, and after that we will inshallah go towards the chapter of towards the contents of the unit of all is not lost. Here on the board you can see the rules for changing imperative sentences into indirect speech. In order to change these sentences into indirect speech, we use to infinitive. A that clause is also possible in some cases. Instead of said, we use the following verbs. First type of thing which I have told you is that we use to infinitives, and I have told you that we use a that clause in some cases, and instead of said you can use the verbs advise, command, request, suggest, threaten, order, forbid, decree, propose, entreat, prompt, prad on, counsel, beg and persuade, etc. All these verbs can be used instead of said in all this type of sentences. Now I am coming towards special notes for you. These notes are 3 and you have to note down all these 3 things very carefully. After suggest, we use a that clause, not infinitive. You will not use infinitive. You will use a that clause after suggest word. If the word propose is coming in some type of sentences, this verb is not followed by an object. Now I am coming towards the third note. Don't use the word not with the word forbid. If the verb forbid is used in any type of sentence, don't use the word not in the upcoming sentence. Now I am coming towards the examples which will surely help you to understand this activity which is in front of you. The examples are over here on the screen in front of you, which will surely help you to understand all this activity which I have given you and I have explained in front of you on the board. The first example is, I am going to give you a direct speech first and then I will change it into that indirect speech in front of you. The old woman said to the boy, "Please help me." Now I am coming towards the indirect speech of this sentence. The old woman requested to the boy to help her. Direct speech, I said to him, love and obey your parents. Indirect speech, I advised him to love and obey his parents, or I advised that he should love and obey his parents. I have given you two types of indirect speeches for this sentence. In the first type, I am going to show you the use of infinitive after to, and in the second sentence I have given you the use of that clause in front of you in the sentence. Now I am coming towards the third type of example. The teacher said to the student, work hard. The indirect speech for this one is the teacher advised the boys to work hard. Now you can see the use of to with the infinitive over here. And the next form of indirect speech for this sentence is the teacher suggested that the boys should work hard. In this sentence, you can see the use of that clause in front of you. Okay students, surely you feel that this lecture is really too much informative for you and for me also, because I have given out a lot of information to you related to the change of the sentences from indirect speech towards the direct speech and from direct speech to the indirect speech. Inshallah, this lecture will help you to understand all type of sentences and to change all type of direct speeches into indirect speeches. And I have given you a compound preposition also. The concept of compound preposition is also delivered to you in this lecture. So inshallah ta'ala, in the next lecture I will meet you as soon as possible, and in that lecture we will discuss the contents and the objectives of the chapter that it belongs to the lesson All Is Not Lost. Till then you have to wait for me. Inshallah ta'ala I will be with you. Allah Hafiz.